Damien Chazelle's Babylon has been my most anticipated movie of the entire year, and it has not changed, not once, not ever. And the divisive reactions that have come following its premiere have only piqued my interest even more. So I finally got a chance to see Babylon, and I was howling like a madman on the way home. My precious, precious Babylon. I kind of loved it. Now let me address some things out the way. I actually understand if people don't like this movie, where some of his other movies like Whiplash and La La Land, personally, I watch those movies and I'm like, Jesus, I don't see how anyone could not like those movies. So those ones, I'm like, over my head. Babylon, I actually understand if you don't like it, and that's okay. It is a long ass movie, a little bit over 3 hours long, and I'll admit, you kind of feel it at times. There are times in the second act in particular where I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel it kind of go down a little bit. The scenes themselves aren't boring or anything like that, but I was kind of wondering in my head, I'm like, okay, is this necessary? Like, is this contributing to the narrative plot of the movie, or is this just kind of fluff that could be cut out? And that kind of goes to the energy of the movie. As you can imagine, it starts off with like a way high energy, so when it kind of does go down to more normal scenes, of someone just talking, it could feel like the pacing kind of stopped a little bit. I get that. Simply put, if you saw the trailer and you're like, oh no, that looks exhausting, if I had to be trapped in there for 3 hours long, I don't want it, then you probably won't like Babylon. But y'all know from my trailer reaction, when I saw the trailer, I was rubbing my hands together. I was like, yes, more. I was pretty enamored with this movie, I can't lie. The filmmaking of this is so flashy and showy, just a man doing whatever he wanted. And this video is no spoilers, but there's a party scene, obviously, and it introduces it in one take, and the way the camera just utilizes the entire room as you're seeing hundreds of extras, it's so well choreographed and staged, the way it's all timed like perfect. I mean, this is one of the most well-crafted movies of the year, like for sure. The cinematography by Linus Sandgren, which is amazing. The production design, to the costumes, to the sound, to the best score of the year by Justin Hurwitz, reteaming with Chazelle again. It's a fucking banger. Put on the soundtrack when you're working out at the gym. You'll have a good gym session, I promise you. But at the end of the day, it's about story. And how was the story? I fucking loved it. The story is obviously about Hollywood. Now, before you kind of roll your eyes, I actually feel that this is a pretty scathing take on Hollywood. Like, is Damien Chazelle okay? Is he doing okay? Is this like his last movie that he'll ever make? What's going on? It's about excess and partying and, the times in the 20s for sure. But also, it is about Hollywood and how stars come and go and how it can change people's lives for the better and for the worse. Now, the movie does follow multiple characters, but particularly Margot Robbie and Diego Calva's characters, who both just deliver excellent performances. Margot Robbie is just incredible. She's kind of one of my favorite actresses. I don't know where she would be, but she's in that little bubble, and she was incredible. This is just a very demanding performance. I mean, it looked so physically exhausting. I mean, this movie, you look on it and you're like, oh my gosh, like that must have been such an exhausting shoot. She's like so committed to everything. I mean, she's really one of our best actresses for real. And Diego Calva is just kind of like the noble guy trying to make it, trying to achieve his dreams. He's really where, the audience kind of sees through him, and he's fantastic too. But the thing that was very refreshing about this movie is I really felt like, God, is Chazelle done with Hollywood? Is he just like, fuck this? That's why I'm like, is he doing okay? It's almost like he feels a little jaded by Hollywood or something. I mean, geez, it's kind of a brutal take on it. And yet, even with everything being said about Hollywood and, quite the dark turn that it does take, this movie made me appreciate movies more than any movie this year. He actually made me feel, and not in a cynical way, the evolution of cinema and how it affects everyone from all genders and races, whatever. Now, there are multiple love letter to movies every year, but especially this one. But none this year made me actually appreciate it the way that Babylon did, and that is kind of surprising to me. And that comes full circle with the ending. No, I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but the ending has been received as pretty divisive. I get it. I do get it. I fucking loved it. I'm insane. I loved it so much, not only because, yes, it achieved, just what I said it did, but because, like, the fucking balls on this man. Who let this happen? I mean, I can't believe the ending he chose. And I'm not saying that to kind of hype it up, make you feel like, oh man, I'm about to see the greatest thing ever. I'm not trying to hype it up like that. I'm trying to hype it up in a way where the movie feels like it's going to end about 10 different times, and you're like, okay, this is how it's going to end. Oh, no. This is how it's going to end. And then there was a moment where I was like, oh, this is actually how it's going to end. That's a good ending. And then he just sniffed the leftover Coke, on set, and then he ended it there. And I was like, Does Damien Chazelle think he's the greatest director of all time, or is he just doesn't give a fuck anymore? I loved it. I unabashedly loved it. I know some of you watching are going to think it's the dumbest thing ever. And once again, I understand. Do I have problems with this movie? Absolutely I do. Like I said, the length, it is too long. Some scenes drag. Some characters come in and out of the spotlight a little bit too much, but can be seen as kind of underserving the characters. Flaws and all, this movie has not left my mind since I watched it. Certain scenes are some of the best of the year, and it gets better with each passing day. I was settled on one score, but I'm gonna bump it up a little bit actually. Babylon, 4.5 stars. It's sick and twisted, but I fucking loved it. I love that shit. Okay, I love the flaws and all, just like bones and all, flaws and all. I loved Babylon. It's really tough between this and Avatar, or like they have entered my top 10. Spoiler alert, both of those. I need to rewatch them too, but I really loved it. I know some of y'all are gonna hate it. It's a lot. It's a lot of movie, but I mean, if you're gonna make a movie, make a movie.